Hello and welcome back to On The Sidelines. My name is Benedict,
And I'm Matthew Lee Bruni.
and welcome to our NFL playoff prediction video. We have a lot for you in today's video as we look towards the NFL playoffs, which start later today. Today's January 9th. Matthew, you excited for these playoffs?
Yeah, I think. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that have a chance this year. Of course, with no sort of dynasty. I mean, the Chiefs are probably starting to sort of build that if they can win a second straight Super Bowl. But I think this year, there's a lot of teams and a lot of players that have really come out of nowhere to give their team a chance to win the Super Bowl. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll get to our favorites a little bit later, but you mentioned that the Chiefs have a chance to go back to back. They're probably favorites to do so, I'd imagine. Uh, the Buffalo Bills have a chance to maybe get their first Super Bowl. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. I think there's a lot of good storylines to follow, and as I'll get to, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we'll start out by looking at our two teams to look out for in each conference, so in AFC and NFC. Your two teams for each division or conference.
I'll also start with the AFC. I already mentioned both teams off the top here. I've gone with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're probably the best two teams at the moment in terms of current form, and also the seedings obviously helps them too. Um, I think the Chiefs are probably the best team in the NFL. Certainly one of the best teams to watch in the NFL. Um, and the Bills are 13-3, I think, to finish the season. Um, and I think they're probably better than the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though I've been saying the Steelers are better all season. Um, even though the Steelers' record is better, I think the Bills might be a bit better on paper. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with the Bills too, and obviously we can't go wrong with how Josh Allen's been playing this season. He's really come out of nowhere for to boost Buffalo and give them a 13-3 record for the season. Um, and yeah, it's undoubtable that he can make this team have a big Super Bowl run, but of course they would have to go through Kansas City in that case. But we'll see, because I know the Bills did lose to the Chiefs earlier this season, but anything can happen in the playoffs. So there's that, and then there's the Ravens too, who my other team to look out for. Um, they were kind of sort of in the I'd say in the dead zone, like for the past like probably 5 weeks ago. But after going on a 5 game winning streak, they are now in the playoffs. I think they were sort of had a chance not to make it, which would have really been bad for Lamar Jackson and that team. So I give credit to how Lamar is playing and how the team's playing, and now that they're in the playoffs.
I'll be honest. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. I think the only teams with a better winning streak at the moment are the Bills and the Packers. I think who won six. Um, so I personally wouldn't have picked the Ravens, but in terms of current form, I can see maybe they can go a little run.
Yeah, I mean, if Lamar can not have his playoff woes, I guess, well, I mean, he can help them out this year, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, for sure. What about your teams in the NFC?
So for me, I'm gonna go with the 2 and 3 seeds, the Saints and Seahawks. I think I'm pretty sure this might be Drew Brees' final year in the NFL. Don't I think that's sort of a rumor spiraling around the NFL. So if that's the case, I think Drew Brees wants to go out on a winning, hopefully a Super Bowl run for the Saints, and I think this obviously, if it's his final year in the NFL, I think this is his best shot to win it. Um, I think if in the NFC, sorry, he would have to go through the Packers if they would eventually meet in the conference championship. So that would be maybe a tough matchup for the Saints, but I think they're going to probably lay it all on the line this year for Drew Brees, and hopefully give him one more Super Bowl for his career. And then also the Seahawks too, who have, I mean, kind of been up and down. I would say. I think there are some weeks where we say they've been the best in the NFC, and then there's other instances where they didn't look good against certain teams. Like I think they lost to the Bills, if I'm not wrong, and that Arizona overtime loss earlier in the season. So some instances where they've been, good and bad, but um, they are facing the Rams this playoff weekend, which will, of course, we'll get to the playoff bracket, but um, yeah, we'll have to see how they fare in this playoff.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't go for either of those teams. um, I think you mentioned that. I think if Drew Brees and the Saints do win a Super Bowl, I would be very surprised to see him play next year. Um, but I'm going with either of those teams as I mentioned. I've gone with the Buccaneers and the Packers. Um, Interesting picks maybe, but I just think the Packers are the number one seed. That's probably an easy pick. They're also on a 6-game winning streak, which is the best in the NFL with the Bills. So I think that pick is sort of self-explanatory, but for the Buccaneers, I've kind of just gone with them because I think it'd be interesting to see maybe Tom Brady go on another Super Bowl run with the Buccaneers, and they're on a 4-game winning streak as well, and uh, definitely not out of the question. I think to continue that sort of streak in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of hype going into the season for the Bucks. I know there were a couple of instances where they didn't play up to their competition. Like for example, that big blowout loss on Sunday night, on that one Sunday night game against the Saints, and also the Rams too on a Monday night game. Just a couple of games to note for the Bucks against some playoff teams in the NFC. But yeah, and also I should say the Chiefs too, although they did almost come back and win that game. So yeah, there have been instances where the Bucks have looked like a Super Bowl contender, and then there's been other games where everyone's been questioning them, I guess.
And also go into this wild card round, they're playing against Washington football team, and I think it's fair to say they're favorites in that game. So they can sort of light them up a bit and continue this winning streak. I think that could be sort of the fuel they need to maybe keep going.
Yeah, definitely. And you're also your other pick, the Packers too. I mean, obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers is the MVP right now. I think there's no doubt about that. Of course, Mahomes has not been playing great in the past couple of weeks, and especially against some non-playoff. So I think undoubtedly he is the MVP this year, and if he can continue that in the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Super Bowl.
I would agree that Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. I think the top three, if I had to pick, we're probably going to be three quarterbacks in him, Mahomes and Josh Allen. I think has been crucial for the Bills this year, and I think he's definitely deserving of some MVP votes, if not the award itself.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh Allen should definitely be in the top three, of course, with Mahomes and Rodgers. Um, I guess now we'll. Do you have anything else before we move on to the bracket?
No, we can move on.
Okay, so yeah, as I said, we'll fill out our own sort of playoff bracket. Do you want to start out with the AFC picture?
Yeah, it's just whom picking in each game basically.
Yeah, so through the wild card to the I guess through the conference championship.
Yeah, sure. So I think in this wild card round, the Colts and the Bills. I think I'm going to take the Bills in that one. So I think they're a better team. To be honest, that's not really much more of it than that. They're playing in about 2.5 hour time from now, so I'll have to see if that early prediction was correct or not. Um, the Ravens and Titans. I'm going to disagree with your pick with the Ravens and say the Titans will win. Um, then the next game is the Browns and Steelers. We saw them play in Week 17. Um, the Browns did win that game, but I think that the Steelers, on paper anyway, are the better team still, and should win this game. I think.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I'm basically going with everything except that one game. So I think the Bills should hopefully be able to easily beat the Colts. I know the Colts have been a great team in the past couple of weeks, but I think the Bills stop them this today, I should say. And another tough game, probably the best wild card game I would say this weekend is the Titans Ravens game. I mean, I think it's kind of a toss up, but for me, I'm going to say just because of how Baltimore has been playing the past couple of weeks, I'll say the Ravens win this game. And for the AFC North rivalry, the Steelers and Browns, I'm going to take the Steelers. I know the Browns have been playing some great football too in the past couple of weeks with how Baker Mayfield's been playing, but I'm pretty sure they won't have their coach this weekend, Kevin Stefanski, who tested positive for COVID. So I think that will sort of hurt the team, and I winning easily.
And what about the three wildcard games in the NFC?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I think they're sort of, I mean, at least on paper, easy to pick some of these matchups, but you never know what will happen. But for me, I'll for New Orleans and Chicago, the 2 and 7, I'll take New Orleans pretty easily to beat Chicago. Um, Tampa Bay, Washington, I think Tampa would win easily against Washington, although Washington has had a, I mean, although they are a 7-9 team, I think they've had a great rise to their season and have been playing great football lately. Um, and then the Seahawks, Rams, who actually faced off 2 weeks ago. I think the Seahawks still beat the Rams because I think they're the better team.
Yeah, I agree with all three of those. I think the NFC is a bit more clear than the AFC.
Yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. There's a lot of I mean, every I should say like the lowest seed in the AFC has 11 wins, or I should say the 4 to 7 seeds have 11 wins. So there's a lot of top caliber teams in the AFC. While in the NFC there is, a couple of subpar teams like Washington and Chicago, who are both like 7-9 for Washington, 8-8 and Chicago. So there are a couple of subpar teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, we credit them still for winning the divisions or making the wild card round, but I think those two teams are probably the easiest ones to write off. I think in this playoffs. Although maybe that's what they're gonna play off, being the underdogs, I suppose. But let's find out today and tomorrow.
Yeah. Um, I guess we'll move on to the divisional round. So in the AFC and NFC for both. So who would you pick in the AFC divisional now? So I guess because who you picked is sorry, go through your pick again.
I went for the Bills, Titans, and Steelers.
So yeah, so Kansas City would face the Titans, and then the Steelers and Bills would play each other. I think.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sort of stick by the Bills and the Chiefs again. I think the Chiefs are probably the best team on paper in the AFC. Bills aren't far behind them. The Bills on paper should be better than the Steelers, I think. Um, Not something I would have said maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago with how the Steelers started their season, but I think the Bills are on a hot streak. Um, I think I said earlier they're one of the best winning streaks in the NFL at the moment. Josh Allen looks really good, and I think they're gonna have a good weekend in a couple weeks time.
Yeah, I'm basically going with the same as you. I think. I mean, it would for me. My other matchup besides the Bills and Steelers would be the Chiefs and Ravens. I mean, although that would be a pretty exciting game, I would still pick the Chiefs over the Ravens and Buffalo over Pittsburgh. They did actually face off a couple of weeks ago too, a couple of Sundays ago, and I think the Bills just showed in that game that that they're the best challenger to the Chiefs in the AFC, and they still are today. And then I guess for the Chiefs, I'll say they should handle their business easily against the Ravens, but you never know.
You never know in the NFL. And what about on the NFC side of
Yes.
things?
So for my picks, it would be Green Bay hosting Tampa, and then New Orleans and Seattle. So for me, I'm gonna pick Green Bay and New Orleans. I know Seattle has had a good year, and Russell Wilson's been playing some great football, but I think it stops on in the divisional round. And I think the Saints beat the Seahawks. And then for the Packers and Tampa Bay, I would pick the Packers, although Tampa did play really well against them, against the Packers in that one matchup in this season. So, I mean, you can't go wrong on Brady, of course. So, I mean, that will be tough for the Packers, but I think they handle their business in the end.
Yeah, I think we had the same picks in the NFC, didn't we?
Yeah,
So
Green Bay, New Orleans.
I'm gonna go with a different NFC East team or NFC team rather. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers to win and the Saints.
Hmm.
I think like we
Uh,
haven't really picked any upsets yet. I think and I think that's the potential for an upset. Tom Brady again. You can never bet against him, as you said. Um, and I think maybe knocking off the number one seed is a bit ambitious, maybe, but uh, again, you never know with that guy.
yeah, that would definitely be something if he can knock off the Packers in Green Bay. That would be something. I guess now we'll move on to the conference championship. So for in the AFC, I think you had we both had Kansas City and Buffalo. Who would you pick in that game?
I think it'd be a close game, closer than people maybe would give it credit for, but I think the Chiefs just have to sort of take that one. I think. Um, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think the Bills will sort of do themselves proud for the first time in a long time. Um, but yeah, I think the Chiefs have to win that game on paper anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs too. I mean, obviously, Buffalo's been a great storyline this year, and we mentioned Josh Allen's been playing MVP caliber football. As we mentioned, I think he would be in my top three too of MVPs. So he has been playing great this year, and Stephon Diggs also too has been playing great this year. But I think Mahomes will with the bye week, and I think he took off last week too. They rested him, Kansas City. So I think with 2 weeks rest and um, potentially winning the divisional game, I think they'll eventually win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills are probably 1 year away from being like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I don't think they're going to do it this year, but of course we never know, as you keep saying. They've surprised us so many times on the negative side. Maybe this time they can surprise us in a positive way and knock off a couple of good teams and make a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I guess now in the NFC, who would you pick to go to the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna go for another underdog pick. Second one in a row with Tom Brady and them. I'm gonna say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, no doubt they can. They have a great shot too, and they would. I think they would be facing New Orleans. You said right? They would
Yeah,
be facing New Orleans. Yeah, that would be that would be something for sure. Especially how I think New Orleans won both games against Tampa, but of course the playoffs is a different atmosphere, so you never know. Um, but for me, I think mine was Green Bay and New Orleans. I think it is a tough game to pick, but I mean, I'm gonna say New Orleans actually wins this game. I think knowing that this is Breeze's final year in the NFL, I think, and also coming off that injury too. I forgot to mention. I think that he had it like a month ago or so. I think. So I think that will be some motivation for New Orleans and Drew Brees. And I think he finally gets New Orleans to the Super Bowl after all these playoff chokes that they've had in the past couple of playoffs.
yeah. I think one of the major stories coming into this season overall was Breeze versus Brady. I think getting to see them play against each other in such an important game would be quite something, and I honestly want to see that more than most other games in this playoffs. I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess now we'll pick our Super Bowl matchup. Who would you say wins the Super Bowl?
Yeah, assuming it's Chiefs and Buccaneers, I'm gonna go for the Chiefs. I think um, I've been saying the whole video. We think we've both been saying like the Chiefs are probably the best team on paper, um, and they've been playing like one of the best teams on the field as well for a lot of the season. They lost the last week of the season, but they've been really good overall, and I think they should be favorites this year.
Yeah, I mean, my Super Bowl matchup, the Chiefs and Saints, is well, we should have got a couple of playoffs ago if it wasn't for the Rams and Patriots screwing it up. But I mean, that obviously has a potential to happen this year. If that's the case, though, I'm going to say the Chiefs, like you said, win the Super Bowl. Um, I think Mahomes is sort of rising up as the best player in the NFL. I think there's no doubt that he can start building a franchise, or should I say a dynasty for the Chiefs if he can win another Super Bowl this year. And with that being said, I think they should be able to win the Super Bowl, but you never know.
That's the Super Bowl I think will happen, but I think the Super Bowl I'd like to see happen would be the opposite of what I picked. I think the Bills winning the AFC and the Bucks winning the NFC. I think they're getting Tom Brady versus the Bills again, after finally getting rid of him out of the division, finally winning the division. Just for Tom Brady to come and face him in the Super Bowl, whether when they finally beat Tom Brady or they lose to him again, I think that'd be an amazing storyline. Not one I know for a fact Bills fans don't want that one. But that'd be quite something, I think.
Yeah, that would be pretty intriguing. And also, I would say probably the Bills and Packers too, potentially, or Seahawks too. Maybe one of those two teams would be another good Super Bowl matchup too. Of course, it would be Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers, or even Russell Wilson too. But yeah, there's no doubt that those matchups would be pretty intriguing.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess before we go, is there any I guess is there any sort of under the radar team? I mean, I know you mentioned the Tampa Bay Bucks, but is there any sort of other team that you would say makes a Super Bowl run, like a maybe like a 4 or 5 or 6 seed, maybe like any kind of underdog like that?
Well, I think it'd be interesting. The Rams and the Seahawks game today, that division rivalry there. Um, the Rams were 10-6, Seahawks were 12-4. Like, they weren't that far behind them. Um, so if they could knock off the Seahawks, I think that would throw both of our brackets off a little bit. Um, I think that could be a sleeper in the NFC. And the also the Buccaneers, as I mentioned. And in the AFC, I think maybe the Cleveland Browns win this game against the Steelers. And I mean, that's not only it's an outrageous thing to say because they beat them last week. Um, but I don't know. It's an interesting one to watch, I think.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I know I picked Baltimore to win against Tennessee, but I think if Tennessee wins on Sunday, I think they might be an underdog to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, I think everybody, no one expected their playoff run last year when they almost made the Super Bowl, and we're down. I think they're up 10 in that game against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So I think if Tennessee can play like that again, I think there's no doubt they are a big underdog to go to the Super Bowl. And I guess in the NFC too, you mentioned the Rams. I think are sort of the underdog. I mean, Washington's been a great story, but I don't think they have any shot to make the Super Bowl, or even the Bears too, who have been. It took week 17 for them to make the playoffs, and they are 8-8. So I think for me, I would say the Rams are the underdog.
And if you had to pick one player who's going to be the most important to their team in the whole league this year, these playoffs, who would it be?
Oh, um, that's kind of tough. I mean, there are. I would say probably the Aaron Rodgers would be the quarterback I would pick. I think I would say without Aaron Rodgers, the Packers wouldn't be where they are. And he sort of built up the weapons that he's had on offense to post them 13-3 record. So I think I would say probably Aaron Rodgers.
I have to agree with that. I think it's between Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen for me. I think like two MVP candidates, of course, as you keep saying.
Definitely. And I guess also another thing that people talk about is the NFC East. Like I know we've been talking about how bad the division is, but do you think that an NFC East team deserve to make the playoffs? I mean, over an 8-8 team, like let's say, I guess Arizona, for example, who didn't make the playoffs or something.
In theory, no. I think I wonder how long before the NFL does something like just the top seeds in each division, the top eight or whatever. Um, but or conference rather. But at the same time, I think I do like the format it is right now with the division winners going in, plus the other ones, the wildcard teams. So I don't know. I don't hate it. But obviously you'd rather see a better team be playing in the biggest stage of the season. But not much you can do about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I'd say I'd rather like be seeing covering the Cardinals over Washington, but I mean, I can't argue with the NFL playoff structure that is right now. So, I mean, we won't be able to see that, unfortunately. I know, I'm pretty sure I picked Arizona to make the playoffs as the seventh seed, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. So,
Got it too.
um, yeah, so I mean, we can't really see Kyler Murray in his first NFL playoff game this weekend. But I mean, I guess chaos happens in the NFL as we know, and I mean, if Washington for some reason does beat Tampa Bay, which would be crazy to even think about, um, I think yeah, I don't know. I think they keep the format, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised to see Washington win a game in this playoff. They might be the worst team in the entire playoffs. That might even be a fair statement. Like again, you never know in the NFL, as you keep saying, and stranger things have happened, of course.
For sure, and yeah, and can't wait for this new wild card format that we've been discussing. Of course, just one team is the gets a bye, so it will be pretty interesting, especially for the two seeds, the Bills and Saints, who would usually get a bye this weekend, to see how they fare against their opponents this weekend, and then of course going forward.
Yeah, it's a very Bills thing as well, isn't it? The 1 year they finish in the second seed is the 1 year they take away the bye for the second seed. So, um, hopefully, fingers crossed. I guess they get through their game against the Colts in a couple hours from now. But it'd be very Bills if they didn't.
Yeah, and can't wait for the NFL playoffs this weekend, and a lot of football to be watched, two triple headers, and as you mentioned, it does get underway in a couple hours with the Bills and Colts. So yeah, can't wait to be watching those games. But anything else to say about the playoffs before we go?
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Okay, in that case, then thank you for watching our NFL playoff video. And yeah, we'll be discussing the NFL playoffs as they go on our On the Sidelines episodes. But thank you guys for watching. My name is Matthew Lee Bruni.
My name is Benedict Rhodes.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.